Discover with Dr. Dan, the Proactive Health Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Brilliant, an innovative wellness company. Brilliant helps people live proactively and a healthier and happier life by discovering and using bioactive compounds from plants to help people discover and unleash their innate brilliance. See feelbrilliant.com for more information. Today, we're going to talk about how to take control of your cholesterol levels. Cholesterol is a big problem in the world today. It's a really bad day when we go into the doctor and the doctor tells us we have high cholesterol. It's shocking. Cholesterol is needed for the body. It's used for cell membranes. It's used to make other molecules that are vital to catalyze the millions of chemical reactions the body does every single second. But like anything, high cholesterol levels can be really bad. More than 12% of adults have high cholesterol. And now when we talk about high cholesterol, we talk about a total cholesterol above 200 milligrams per deciliter and an LDL above 100. So we want to be below 200 total cholesterol and we want to be below 100 LDL cholesterol. So 12% of adults have high cholesterol. That translates to 29 million Americans. High LDL levels significantly raises the risk for heart disease. Heart disease is a leading cause of death in America. It accounts for 42% of deaths. What's really interesting is high cholesterol plays a big role in cancer. Cancer cells love cholesterol. They use cholesterol in order to fuel their meteoric growth. High cholesterol obviously plays a big risk in stroke. Risk of stroke goes up exponentially with high cholesterol levels. One thing that's really interesting that we might not know is that high cholesterol is associated with different types of dementia. It's called vascular dementia. And so when the vascular system is out of whack, it translates directly to the brain. Blood flow, plaquing gets involved in the brain and it can cause dementia. High cholesterol and high blood pressure are twins. They go hand in hand. So when you look at someone that has high cholesterol, the chance that they have high blood pressure is very, very high. So when it comes to treatment options, the number one treatment option is statin drugs and fiber. Those are the two biggest ones. When it comes to fiber is used in supplements all the time. The concept of fiber is fiber helps to absorb and hold on to the cholesterol from your diet. So when you eat food that's laden with cholesterol, that cholesterol goes into the bloodstream. Fiber is an organic compound, and so is cholesterol. So it's this principle of like associates with like. So the idea is you take a fiber supplement before you eat. And then when you eat your meal, the cholesterol binds to the fiber and you reduce cholesterol levels in the bloodstream. And that works all right, helps to lower cholesterol 5 to 7%. But other solutions are needed. The thing about fiber, though, is it only works for cholesterol in the food you eat. It does nothing with the cholesterol that's already in your body. Now, the body naturally produces cholesterol. The other option is statin drugs. Lipitor is the best-selling drug of all time. It's done over $200 billion in sales. Lipitor and other statin drugs work through a mechanism called HMG-CoA reductase, and statin drugs have been a miracle. They've helped to lower cholesterol of hundreds of millions of lives. The thing about statins, though, is they have some really bad side effects. The biggest one is myopathy, which is muscle weakness. The general term is muscle weakness. And when you take statin drugs, the muscles, you have tendons and muscle fibers that intertwine with each other. And when you take statin drugs, these intertwining muscle fibers don't anneal as tightly. They don't form as tightly. And so one of the big deals with myopathy and statins is muscle rupture. So a lot of people, when they have statin drugs, rotator cuff comes undone, ACL, a lot of really big issues with statins. And there's a lot of other things. There's cognitive health decline. Papers are coming out on that. Statins have been taken for 20 or 30 years. So now we're just starting to see the long-term health effects of statin drugs. Now, statins are great. They lower LDL levels by about 50 milligrams per deciliter, which translates to a 17% reduced risk of stroke and an estimated 60% decrease in cardiac events. So that's great, but we have side effects. We need better solutions. Science, we need to be moving forward. A lot of people think that science is stagnant, but there's new discoveries being made every single day, every single year. And so we need to harness those. And that's really what we do at Brilliant. That's what I do as a scientist. I'm not, I don't like the status quo. I don't like things stagnant. I'm always looking for that new thing. And so there's a new target that's come out recently. Some papers have been talking about it that works through a different mechanism of statins, and it's called PCSK9. And basically, it's a protein. And what this protein does is on the outside of the cell, you have these LDL receptors, and they look like a Y, and they're lining on the outside of the cell. And what happens is cholesterol, which is a circular molecule in our cartoon, binds to these LDL receptors, and these Ys close, they invert, and they push cholesterol into the cell, from the bloodstream into the cell. And so that's how it works. PCSK9 is a Barber protein, so to speak. It travels along the cell membrane, and when there's LDL-Ys, these LDL receptors that are broken and not functioning properly, it attaches to them and breaks them down so that these receptors aren't causing problems. So that's good. PCSK9 is a great protein. It helps to bring homeostasis and balance to the cell. What happens is a lot of people genetically, they produce a lot of PCSK9, and poor diet can influence PCSK9 levels. So when PCSK9 is high, PCSK9 indiscriminately starts cutting down these LDL receptors, just like a lawnmower. A lawnmower is good when it mows the lawn, but if it starts to get into flower beds and mows down all your tulips, then that's a bad thing. And that's what PCSK9 does. So if PCSK9 mows down all of the LDL receptors on the surface of the cell, then the cell can't pull in cholesterol. It sits in the bloodstream, and that's when it causes problems. Especially some people naturally produce high amounts of PCSK9. So using a cholesterol-lowering mechanism that just targets food from your diet isn't going to work. Being able to inhibit and lower PCSK9 would be a really good thing. So what we do at Brilliant, what I'm passionate about doing, is traveling around the world studying new compounds in plants, new bioactive compounds, Mother Nature's secrets that could be able to help in different areas of human metabolic wellness, proactive wellness. And so in looking at compounds and traveling around the world, there's a few compounds that we found that help to inhibit levels of PCSK9. One of them, the first one, is Berberine. It's found in plants like barberry, golden seal, golden thread. It's a screaming bright yellow color. It's super bitter. It's one of the most bitter compounds known to man. When you formulate, I've always wanted to make a liquid formulation with berberine, and it's just not happening. You add 5 milligrams, just like a few particles. You know, if you look at like grains of salt, if you add a few grains of salt equivalent of berberine, throw it in water, you can't drink it. It's just too bitter. Anyways, berberine was used traditionally to dye clothes. It was used as a diarrhea remedy, as a purifying agent. The earliest records of using berberine was written on clay tablets in the Assyrian Empire in 650 BC. Another ingredient that helps to lower cholesterol through PCSK9 and other mechanisms is phytosterols. Phytosterols are compounds from plants. They're found in beans and nuts. And phytosterols are the plant version of cholesterol. So they have a chemical structure similar to cholesterol, but they don't plaque in the arteries. Really significant. So that's one of the reasons we need to eat plant-based foods. So the way phytosterols work is when you take them into your body, phytosterols and cholesterol compete with each other to get into the bloodstream. So when you flood the body with phytosterols go to the front of the queue and they travel into the bloodstream rather than cholesterol. So it's a competitive inhibition. Phytosterols also have a gene regulation mechanism due to PCSK9. So they interact with PCSK9 as well. Lycopene is a carotenoid. It's a bright purple color and red, depending on the concentration there. It's found in tomatoes, carrots, papaya. It's dark red beetlets. It's the ingredient in spaghetti sauce that lines the plasticware and makes it orange. It's a great antioxidant. Now, I want to stop there. I want to dispel a myth. Antioxidant is just a fancy word for something that binds to oxygen and destroys free radicals. There's been a lot of interesting studies showing that compounds can act as an antioxidant in the test tube when they do test tube studies. But then when you put it into the body, it's not an antioxidant. So most things that we say are antioxidants really aren't. They're actually regulators of biosignaling mechanisms in the body and also regulators of gene expression. So lycopene's great, though. It interacts with PCSK9. Polydatin is another really interesting natural product. It's from Japanese knotweed, a really cool grass that grows in Asia. It's been used in traditional medicine, primarily in Japan, but throughout all of Southeast Asia as well. It's a derivative of resveratrol. Resveratrol is the active compound when you see news articles come out saying that drinking a glass of red wine a day is good for you. Well, that's because of this compound called resveratrol. Polydatin is a derivative of resveratrol, but it's like resveratrol on steroids. It's a lot more powerful, and it also interacts with PCSK9. Silymarin is a really freaking cool compound that comes from the milk thistle plant. Milk thistle is native to Southern Europe, but now it's found throughout all the world, and it's an invasive weed in a lot of places. I know here in Utah, where I live, milk thistles all over the place. And the Division of Wildlife, one of their jobs is to go around and kill milk thistle. Well, what they don't realize is silymarin in milk thistle is a wonderful bioactive compound. It was used to cure liver dysfunction in India and China and in ancient Greece. Silymarin was actually recognized by the WHO, World Health Organization, in the 70s as an official medicine with liver protecting effects. But this ingredient also has PCSK9 properties. And these ingredients work by different mechanisms. So if we take our lawnmower analogy, the PCSK9 is a lawnmower. Some of these ingredients actually prevent the lawnmower from being manufactured in large amounts. So if you reduce the manufacturing of lawnmowers, then you have less lawnmowers that can cause problems. Others actually prevent the lawnmower. It's produced, it's manufactured, and it's sitting in your garage waiting to be used. Some of these ingredients actually prevent the lawnmower from getting out of the garage, PCSK9 in this case, from getting out of the garage. And a few of these other ingredients, when the lawnmower is mowing, it actually throws a wrench into the lawnmower to slow it down. And so these are three unique mechanisms by which these natural products help to inhibit and regulate PCSK9. So this is all good. When we were looking at these compounds, they had great bioactivity, they had great potential. You never know, though, when you put them together. People talk about synergy, putting things together, and it's amazing. You can also have negative synergy. So what we did is we combined these ingredients and we ran a clinical study. We showed that it was safe. We ran toxicity studies. We purified it using state-of-the-art purification equipment. And then we wanted to see what it would do. So we took 20 subjects. And we had these 20 subjects, we tested their cholesterol levels before, and then we had them take this formulation every day, once a day before their biggest meal for 4 weeks. And then after 4 weeks, we took their cholesterol levels again. And the results were astounding. We saw that total cholesterol levels went from 204 to 157. That's a 47-point reduction, which is on par with a 15 milligram dose of simvastatin. So that was amazing. LDL cholesterol levels went from 130 to 88. And you remember, we want to be below 100 LDL. HDL cholesterol, which is a good cholesterol, which we want to be as high as possible in the body, it stayed the same. A lot of times with statin drugs, one of the issues is statins will help to lower LDL cholesterol and total cholesterol, but they also lower HDL cholesterol, which is not good. So one of the cool things we saw with this formulation is that it did not lower HDL cholesterol. The other thing is there's a ratio. It's called a total cholesterol HDL ratio. And this ratio is one of the best predictors of heart disease. And you want this ratio to be below 3.5. So in our study, this ratio started at 4.43, and after taking this product for 4 weeks, it went down to 3.39. So that was amazing. We were really happy to see that there. The really cool thing that we saw is of these people that we did a clinical study on, many of these people were healthy. So they were skinny, they were fit, they were exercising every day, and yet they had high cholesterol. Some of them were taking a statin and still their cholesterol was high. And it was really interesting that taking this formulation, their cholesterol levels went down. And that's an indicator that we are targeting this PCSK9 protein. Because if PCSK9 levels are high in the body, even though you're healthy, eating healthy, your cholesterol levels are still going to be high. And so we were really astounded that we saw this result here. And so no other pharmaceutical drug or supplement in the industry does that. So we were really excited. We created a product out of this called Brilliant Control. It's patented, has clinical studies on it, 2 clinical studies so far and more in the works. And we're going to have it available soon. But the reason why we're talking about this is a great example about how we can use cutting-edge science, Mother Nature's secrets, to help to address a serious health concern in the world today, like cholesterol and high cholesterol levels. It's been great talking with you, my friends. Please subscribe to this podcast if you like this content, you're enjoying it, and you want to continue on this proactive wellness journey with us. Please leave an honest review on Apple Podcasts. We rely on these reviews to make sure we are delivering the best content that is relevant to your interests. Send us a screenshot of your review, and you will be entered to win a $50 Amazon gift card. Send your screenshots to podcast@feelbrilliant.com. That's FEEL brilliant.com. Thank you, my friends. This is Dr. Dan, signing off.